Starting an Agile transformation in 2025 will require navigating deeply rooted resistance and adapting to a future shaped at AI speeds. In the next 30 minutes, let's explore six key success factors that will increase your chances of success, from your motivation to change to how AI can help expedite the transformation journey. And we'll also discuss why early collaboration with four key teams is essential to create a sustainable transformation. Welcome to Agile for AI. I'm Sean, a lean Agile coach with over 20 years of experience and a deep passion for aligning Agile and AI to build healthier, more productive workplaces. Let's dive in. First thing I wanted to do was to set some context. Where are we in history, in the history of Agile and its adoption? And what I wanted to do was introduce you to this graph that describes the adoption process for technologies and processes and tools. What you'll notice here is that there are five segments. And the first two, which are part of the early market, the early adoption, represent both technology enthusiasts and visionaries. It doesn't have to be exclusively technology. I would say that anything, any new process, technology, tools that we want to adopt can relate to this. The point about this is that there is a subset of people in the business that are really willing and open and excited to just try new things. These are visionaries. These are the ones that are right at the edge, always looking for that new thing and figuring out how to integrate it, how to make best use of it, how to really benefit from the opportunity of a potential of something that's out there, that's emerging. This is a high risk area. Whatever it is that we're looking at has not been proven. It's brand new. And we're going to try it and we're going to see if it works. And it may not work. And this is where the chasm is an important piece. This is the bridge. This is the leap. It's like we could fall off. What that means is that whatever it is that we're looking at, in this case, Agile, we may discover that it doesn't work. And if that had been the case, if we had discovered that it didn't work, then everybody who was an early adopter would have lost all of their investment of time, energy, money, effort at that moment. As it happened, no, Agile proved itself and we continued on. When we're past this chasm, the risk zone of losing this early investment, now pragmatists take a look at it and go, oh, okay, new thing coming up. We've got to figure out, roll up our sleeves and figure out how to get into this. So these are people who have a respect for risk management. They are obviously a bit more cautious than the early adopters, and they're more open to it. So this constitutes an early majority adoption. Following that come people who are more conservative in their approach. They're more risk averse. They want to see it proven. They want to see that it hasn't led to problems all throughout, so that there's lower risk. They have a lower appetite for risk. And now they're ready to move forward. This constitutes the late majority adoption. And then finally, the skeptics, the ones that really will only do it because they have to, sort of thing. So this is the laggards. These are the people who hold on to things for years and years and years past their prime, and they really need to be convinced in order to move over. We are now, because as of late 2023, early 2024, Agile adoption has been measured at approximately 75% penetration in the business world. So we're now looking at the late majority adoption, which means that if you haven't already participated, if you haven't already been doing it, if you've been resisting Agile for the past 20 years, yeah, you're in the conservative group and at the late majority stage. So the question becomes, if you've been resisting all of this time, there's got to be a reason for it. And if all of a sudden you're talking about considering moving in the agile direction, then the big question is why? What is the motivation? So the first thing that you want to do when one of the first elements that's going to help you with this agile transformation is take a look at what is your motivation. Do some real deep introspection and consider, Why are we doing it? What is it that has changed at this moment so that this is a good idea for us to do at this moment? Make sure to do that. Don't skip that step because agile transformations are hard. They are very challenging. They're going to put you through your paces. And at some point, it's going to feel really heavy. And if you were clear about what your motivation was, that may be the thing that carries you through. That may be the thing that reminds you of why you started in the first place. And now you need that. You need that reminder in order to help you see it through. So the power of motivation is really, really, really important in considering going into this. Be clear about it. Understanding what your motivation is, then you want to look at verbalizing what are the desired outcomes that you have from putting yourself and your company through this effort. And here you really want to do a good job at spelling out very clearly what is that set of desired outcomes. Put it as clearly as possible and as succinctly as possible. This needs to be a very concise explanation that paints a clear picture of what that final destination looks like. I did a video that touched on desired outcomes before. I'll make sure to put a link in the description for it. So make sure to watch that so you understand a little bit better the importance and how to come about formulating your desired outcomes. They're not long texts, they're not lengthy, they're succinct, but they're very crisp, they're very clear. Whenever you share them with somebody and tell them, this is our desired outcome from doing this activity, they should be very clear in their mind of what we're talking about. And where they're very helpful is as you're moving forward with implementation, they give you the guiding. I refer to the North Star. They give you that indicator that you're heading in a good direction, or you're not heading in a good direction. I think it can be a really good tool to do course correction, pivoting in the middle of your agile transformation, because you're not seeing that it's heading you towards delivery of those desired outcomes. So desired outcomes are really critical once you've established that you have a good motivation, a motivation that's moving you for valid reasons where you want to go. Where is it that you want to go? These are the desired outcomes. It's probably going to be a few of them. Identify them and then validate them. Validate them from a couple of perspectives. First of all, take a look at your company DNA. Do these desired outcomes align with the current DNA of your company, or are some of them completely contrary, opposite, or potentially undermining your current company DNA? And again, you go back to the motivation. If you've got a really strong motivation and these are desired outcomes that you want to get to, it may be the reason why you have to change your company DNA. And you need to be very clear about that. It's like we will change who we are, the essence of who we are from what we've always been for these reasons. This is the reason why we're going to do it. If you find that they align perfectly with your company DNA, fantastic. Now you've already got a good support going into it. More often than not, especially being in the conservative group, it's probably going to require some changes to your DNA. So make sure that you have the right motivation and the right outcomes that justify going through that effort. And if for some reason you find that those changes to your DNA are going to be quite extensive and you know they're going to be quite painful, before you commit to an agile transformation at this point, check if there are some alternative approaches that you could take that will deliver on those desired outcomes. If it's possible to deliver on your desired outcomes without doing an agile transformation, then don't, and explore those options first. Because exploring those options and giving you the desired outcomes that you were after will put you in a better position. And at that moment, you can reevaluate, okay, we're here. Do we still need to consider this agile thing? Yes or no? You'll be in a better position. You'll be in a stronger position. You won't have the whatever anxieties were driving you to consider going down a path that you've been resisting for 20 years. You'll be in a better position to think, oh, well, now that we've cleared that out, actually, it would be okay. It would be a better spot. You'll just feel better about it moving forward if that's what you decide to do. Once you have defined this, then you figured out, now, what is your motivation? What are the desired outcomes? How does it fit in with your company DNA? Now have a conversation. Have a conversation with an expert, somebody who has been through this, who knows about this stuff, who's an expert about this agile thing, and run this by them and see what they think. From their perspective, do these desired outcomes align with what agile can deliver? Maybe you discover that no, there was a misunderstanding of what agile is, and that's not what you need. Well, good. Then you don't have to go into it, and you've been able to avoid that. Or otherwise, they can validate it. Another way in which experts can help you is maybe it's difficult for you to come up with, well, what is our motivation? That may be unclear. You just have a feeling that you need to do it, but you're not really clear on why. Or you may be having a hard time expressing those desired outcomes. If your desired outcomes are very high level, too high level, we want to make more money. Of course you do. Everybody does. Something more meaningful than that, and you're having a hard time expressing it, then the expert may help you come in, not to get started with an agile transformation, but to first create those statements, come up with those desired outcomes, those succinct expressions of what it is that you need, what it is that you're pursuing, so that then you can evaluate, is agile the right fit? Look before you move forward. You really want to use the time before you do that, before you commit, so that you're very clear, you have a clear direction, you know what this is. A lot of companies jumped on Agile on a bit of sometimes industry pressure. Everybody else is doing it, and it became the checklist item. It's like, oh, when talking to potential customers, are you doing Agile? Yes or no? And those who said no stood at some risk at getting the business. Okay, so they got into it, but they really weren't committed. They really hadn't thought through what was the desired outcomes that they wanted out of it. They just wanted the checklist that said, yes, we've done it. That probably means that they focused on the processes and tools, but they didn't look at the cultural aspects. And as a result, they haven't gotten great results from it, which is what happens. So you want to take a good look, and then you want to be working with experts to help you through. Why? Consider that you've never done this before. As a leader in a waterfall company, looking at this agile path, at this agile journey, engaging in it, is a really uncomfortable thing to do. It's going to take you out of your comfort zone. And you need the support of somebody who has done this before. And you're not accustomed to having that kind of support. You probably aren't. The waterfall mindset creates this persona of leaders as people who always have the answers, who always can take charge, who always can take control of the situation. So owning up to, I don't know, that's hard. That's really hard for senior leadership to do. You need to be able to get to that moment of humility of saying, I don't know. I've never done this before. Show me. And if you're going to do that, you need to be able to trust whomever you're doing this with. So I strongly encourage you to look carefully and who's going to come in and help you, and establish a trust relationship so you really can listen to whatever it is that they're going to be guiding you in. And be prepared. They're going to tell you to do things that you would never in a million years think of doing. And when you hear what their recommendations are, you're going to think, this person is insane. That's crazy. I don't want to do that. That's dangerous. I'm going to put my business in danger. Why would I want to do that? That's normal. Every single company who has gone through it has gone through that. Because you've never done it before. This is different from waterfall. Completely different. So you need that external perspective to point out what you need. And you also need to remember, this quote has been attributed to Einstein many times. I don't know whether it is or it isn't his, but this the quote of, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. You have the thinking of waterfall. You can't change that. That can't be the thinking that changes into Agile. You need somebody else who has that expertise to show you, to guide you through that learning process, that journey. And that takes time. I've done another video on what it takes for us to learn things. It doesn't happen over time, and it's painful. It's a process that requires that mindfulness, that commitment. We go back to that motivation. That's when you need it in order to learn what you need to learn, to reprogram your mind in the way that you need to, and the repetition, staying on it over and over and again, in order to be able to get through and finally do it. So again, you need that expert, and you need to have a good trust relationship with that expert so that you will listen to them and you will take the leaps of faith that are needed in order to be able to get you to the next stage. So when you're looking at the experts that you want to be talking to, we're talking about, for example, Agile coaches. And there are different types of Agile coaches that you want to be considering. One type would be, for example, team level coaches, where their expertise is to work with the delivery teams. They have either done it or they've developed the skill to know how to guide delivery teams in making the necessary changes, learning the necessary processes and tools, and how to adapt them, how to use them in real life situations and day-to-day situations. So they have that ground level, front of the line kind of expertise to be able to guide teams to move in the agile direction and start shifting their mindset and their skills to be able to do it. Another level of coaches, for example, could be organizational level coaches. They sit higher from the team level coaches to help resolve organizational level impediments. So they serve as a bridge in between the highest level, the enterprise level coaches, and the team level coaches to work with different groups across your organization to help facilitate whatever it is that the teams need, whatever's getting in their way, whatever impediments exist because of the way that your company currently works, in order to resolve them so that they can work in the agile way. And then the enterprise level coaches. Enterprise level coaches, depending on the size of your company, typically you're thinking of having one enterprise level coach. Some very large companies may require multiple. But this is somebody who is going to be looking at the highest levels of the organization, is going to be working with senior leadership, the C-suite leadership, in understanding the company's strategies, the company directions, the approaches, how the company operates today, and providing direct feedback to all of them on what needs to change and how and why. Creating the roadmap for the transformation, identifying the elements that are necessary, be that training, be that skills, be that technology, but processes, tools, whatever is involved. Identifying the from the cultural perspective, what are the soft skills, the people skills that are necessary that need to shift. Part of that, changing the company DNA and figuring out safe ways of making those changes without destabilizing your company. This is a critical role. So you want to make sure that you have all of these levels covered in whatever way, but you need those experts that bring the experience to your company to be able to tackle and set up a transformation that is going to be successful. A caution, and it goes back to that humility aspect that I was talking about earlier. You cannot do this with internal people because your internal people haven't done it before. So just as from a senior leadership perspective, you can't lead in an area that you haven't done before. Neither can your management team take ownership and move forward and help coordinate this agile transformation. You really need that external perspective to help you get through it. And I'll come back to this point about the experience, which is so critical to ensure that you have a good plan that is going to be successful. So There are critical interactions that need to happen with all of these experts on a daily basis, on a regular basis. The team level coaches are having the pulse on what's happening as teams encounter questions, opportunities, challenges, and they help guide those in as close to real time as possible, all the way to having the conversations with the CEO and the C-suite in making sure that we have the right direction, that we're addressing things in the right steps, that we are aware of what the company priorities are, anything that's coming up that's very critical for the company, making sure that we don't disrupt that. Agile transformations can't put the business at risk. So we need to be constructing the transformations in such a way that the business can continue to operate and deliver effectively while transforming. It's a big challenge, absolutely doable. And it's a big challenge that needs a lot of work and a lot of planning. So when we're looking at doing the actual implementation, sequencing is really important. And here, a common mistake is to focus first on the delivery teams. And unfortunately, that has been a great majority of transformations. That's how they start. It's training for the delivery teams. They go through a couple of days of training, and then all of a sudden we're agile. And that leads to a lot of problems. In fact, what you want to be doing is working with HR and finance first, because these are two groups that have tremendous influence and veto say on the way that the company operates. And a lot of the ways from waterfall are fundamentally incompatible with the agile way of doing things. For example, if we're still holding your company, of your waterfall company, that's where you're at, a project mindset. Projects have very clearly defined beginnings and ends. They have very clearly defined outputs. This is predefined, and it's consistent with the waterfall way of doing things. You do analysis first, you do execution and delivery, and that's not the way that it works in Agile. So if we are applying the same financial budgetary constraints to that we use in waterfall, and we're applying them to Agile teams, that's going to create an artificial impediment, and they're going to struggle. So what we want to do is work with HR and finance first so that they can adapt their systems, their processes in such a way that they can support the agile teams. It's not terribly complex. It's just a very different way of doing things, which initially sounds crazy. It's like, what do you mean? From a budgetary perspective, there's only one way to do it. It's like you do your yearly budgeting cycles, and that's it. No, there are other ways. And they're not terribly complex, but they are different. So we need to give opportunity to the finance teams, for example, to learn these, to become comfortable with them, and to allow them their own learning journey so that they are in a good position to support the work from the agile teams. And the other two teams that you want to bring on board earlier rather than later are audit and compliance teams, regulatory compliance teams. In a similar way to HR and finance teams, these are teams that have strong power, sometimes veto power. So they may say, no, this is not going out to our customers because it violates XYZ. You don't want to find that out as you're putting things out. That is incredibly demoralizing in agile transformations, because we put all of this pressure on teams to deliver at a pace that they're not accustomed to. And all of a sudden they do all the work, they put it together, they're ready to deliver, and then the last second they're told, no, you can't. And it's the big surprises like, why? What's going on? This is not going to help in your agile transformation. If instead you do what we refer to as shifting left, those things that you would do at the tail end, you've already completed the implementation, now we check. You shift that, obviously not all of that, but some of that to the beginning of the process. Initially, this doesn't make sense for waterfall teams, and that's that's normal. That's the way that they work. But when we shift them to the left, we bring in audit and regulatory compliance at the very inception of a new work that we're going to be doing. We give them opportunity to provide feedback that the team uses in their implementation to make sure that they avoid pitfalls down the road. And in my experience, audit and regulatory compliance teams love this. They love having the opportunity to have early awareness and participation in creating new products and services. It makes it easier for them once they get to go through their checklists, because they're already familiar with it, so they know what they're looking for, and they've been the feedback of things to watch out for. So their expectation is naturally that they're not going to have to deal with the things that they've already talked about. So there's a lot of opportunity for them to make their jobs a lot easier. My experience is they get really excited with Agile. They tend to be very, very supportive, because it just makes things a lot easier. And they don't have to deliver bad news, which nobody enjoys. So those are 4 teams that you want to consider bringing on early on. And when you think about it, it kind of does make sense that normally they haven't been included in the beginning, because the perception and the focus is typically, oh, we want Agile to expedite delivery. And the focus is on delivery, and it's the delivery teams. So we go to the delivery teams. And when you think about HR, finance, audit, regulatory compliance, well, they're not part of delivery. They're not creating things. So why include them in the Agile thing? It's not an irrational thought. Unfortunately, they're actually critical to make sure that we work with them first to prevent creating impediments for the delivery teams to be able to work in the Agile way. So keep those four teams in mind in your Agile transformation to work with them at the beginning. As part of the sequencing, you also want to have a good change management plan. And this is where your enterprise Agile coach can be really critical to help you put that together. I've mentioned in another video about ADKAR. It's one change management approach. There are many others, but that's one that I've described in the previous video. So I'll put a link in the description for that so you can take a look at that. And they will, the enterprise Agile coach or whomever's guiding this will put a journey roadmap. And that journey roadmap is going to map out all of the key milestones in the Agile transformation so that the entire company has awareness of what's happening. First of all, and why we're doing this. What is the value of engaging in this effort and this investment? Why are we changing things? You know, we got this far with the way that we've always done things. Why do we need to change that? Change is risky. Things could go badly. That could put us at risk. There's a lot of questions and a lot of anxiety that comes along, which is perfectly normal. Having a good change management plan addresses that, makes sure that there is good information communication to everybody in a transparent way, that we're providing the training, the knowledge, the information that people need in order to work through this transformation. And then we're reinforcing their successes. Once they start performing in the new way, we want to be reinforcing that so that it becomes the new way of doing things. So the journey road mapping highlights the key milestones that are going to help us move along that progression in a good, steady way, and always heading towards that North Star that is going to deliver on the desired outcomes that we're after. And then we want to talk about experience. This is where being in the conservative group actually helps you, because you get to benefit from all of the experience of everything of 20 years now of doing this. And this is where I really encourage you to work closely with the experts who have done this before, because they've seen it. You're going to come up along the journey with ideas, things that are going to make sense to you. It's like, oh, well, why did we do this? And they're going to know. They're going to know because they've seen it happen over and over again, and they'll be able to validate, oh yeah, that's really good. Give that a try. That sounds like a good idea. Or say, you know what, I've watched teams try that 1,000 times. It never works, and this is why. You have the unique opportunity in 2025 of leveraging over 20 years of experience doing this. Don't miss the opportunity. You can be the teams that go through this with the least friction, the least challenges, because there is so much that we know already. The early adopters, that's the Wild West. They took the hard knocks and they went through all of the challenges. They muddled their way through. Those were the rough times. Now we know, we have a lot of experience. Use that. Use that to make this a much easier journey for yourselves. There are things that work, there are combinations that work, there are others that don't. Avoid ending up doing the same mistakes that have been done over the past 20 years. That's the opportunity. So there's an advantage to waiting. And then we want to talk about how leveraging AI. One question that I ask clients at the very beginning when they're considering an agile transformation right now, what is your AI strategy? And if I get a big question mark, and we have a good conversation about AI. If you're going to be going into an agile transformation in 2025, you need to have an AI strategy. AI can make some of the painful steps of an agile adoption much, much easier. There are things that we spend so much time showing teams how to do, and they go through trial and error over and over again until they finally get it. And it's a painful process. It leads to a lot of frustration sometimes, and AI can really help expedite that, streamline that in ways that will make it much, much, much more pleasant and much easier for them. So you don't want to be in a position where AI is an unknown. It's something that you don't have a strategy, and you potentially have a veto against in your company that would prevent you from being able to leverage the advantages that AI brings into an agile transformation in 2025. There are many options of doing this safely. I understand that there are privacy and there are security, and there are many safeguards that need to be considered. And there are ways of doing this in such a way that you can provide these tools to your teams so that they can leverage them in an agile transformation. So I find it very interesting that both Agile can help enable an AI transformation, and AI can help enable an Agile transformation. These two help each other a lot. So AI can help accelerate, simplify the process, make it a lot easier, potentially a lot faster for teams to do. And yes, another way that AI can help is by doing some analysis of the Agile transformation itself. That analysis can come in form of giving you guidance on the change management process itself, coming up with designing it, working with whomever's putting together the plan, making sure that validated and that it's laid out in a good solid, that you have a good solid plan, as well as doing risk mitigation. If you feed into an AI some of the critical aspects for your business, and then you try to align that with your transformation, it can help highlight where the risks are. So they can be a really valuable tool for the agile the transformation itself, the process of executing the agile transformation. So it's an exciting time. It's an exciting process. There are a lot of things, a lot of challenges. There are a lot of risks. Any changes is risky. And there's also a lot of good potential, and you can leverage what we know, the experience of what we've already been through, and you can leverage AI to help you get through it much easier than we've been doing for the past 20 years. So this is in many ways a very exciting time to be engaging in an agile transformation. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more insights in building adaptive, resilient organizations in the era of AI. Thanks for watching.